I didn't even know existed until I docked here a couple of days ago? He snorted derisively. You're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. That's all the credit you'll be getting, the Rurian muttered, reaching forward with one of its many arms to scoop up the chips. Han grabbed the junction between the alien's two uppermost body parts and twisted sharply. You touch my winnings, and then you'll see just how much of my edge I've lost. Chairs scraped across the stony floor as the other two players backed away from the sabacc table. The thorny toe maintained a strict no-weapons policy, but that didn't mean that fights couldn't be lethal.
Overrated muck hauler!
The Rurian grunted, wriggling its lengthy body in an attempt to get free. Who you calling overrated? Han muttered, tightening his grip. Although low in mass, the alien could bend in places Han couldn't, making it difficult to maintain the upper hand. Just as he was beginning to think he'd taken on more than he could handle, two rough three-fingered hands grabbed both him and the Rurian, hauling them off the ground and separating them in midair.
Enough!
Han recognized the guttural accent of a Wifid and instantly ceased trying to kick his way out of the creature's grasp. He knew better than to fight a Wifid. Their claw and tusks were as mean as their temperament. The bouncer forced its way through the crowd. What sort of dive is this anyway? Han protested to the closed door as he picked himself up and dusted himself down once more. His shoulder was tender where he'd hit the ground, and the bouncer's claws had left a few tears in his jacket. His comlink buzzed as he limped down the seedy back alley that housed the thorny toe. He pulled the comlink out of his pocket, knowing before he'd answered the call that it was Leia on the other end. You're out? And in one piece. Did you find anything? Nothing useful. Is that fighting I hear? The ruckus inside the bar was getting nastier by the second. My exit was none too subtle, he said, picking up the pace. Start making your way back then. It's not safe out there, Han. Will do. Han rubbed his shoulder and hurried back to the Falcon, hoping Jaina had had better luck on the other side of town. Luke Skywalker gripped the sides of his seat as Jade Shadow emerged roughly from hyperspace. The bulkheads groaned under the strain, while containers of stored goods in the passenger bay could be heard crashing to the floor. What was that? He asked his wife, beside him in the pilot seat, when the disturbance had passed. Mara was already flicking switches and checking monitors. A hole the size of a Star Destroyer just opened up in front of us. Every hyperspace jump they'd made in the last couple of weeks had been fraught with danger and uncertainty. Let's just hope Widowmaker is okay. Lights flickered across the displays, and a new blip appeared on the scopes. Here she is now, Mara said. Seconds later, the voice of Captain Arian Yage sounded over the comm. How about a warning or something next time? Sorry about that, Arian. If we could give you a heads up, you know we would. The frigate was locked on Jade Shadow's navicomputer and would mirror every move Mara made through the shoals of the unknown regions. But there was no way to communicate through hyperspace, and therefore no way to warn of any sudden exits. This is getting annoying, Mara muttered after doing checks on her displays. I can't work out what I'm doing wrong. Luke was just as confused. 3 times they'd tried and failed to jump the last parsec to where the empty system of Class Ephemera lay. She was a much better navigator than an astromech, and while it was pointless speculating on the capabilities of a world-sized intelligence like Zonama Sekot, he was sure she could match its flying abilities any day. Jag Fell sat by Tahiri's bed, staring curiously at the young girl for what must have been the 10th time in 2 hours. Every now and then she made a strange mewling noise, which sounded to Jag almost like a suppressed scream.